Hello friends, welcome to this series of podcasts on artificial intelligence and big data from Ellicium Solutions. Today we are going to have a conversation with Bhavin Sheth on industrial IoT. Bhavin is president and CTO of EcoAxis, which is a pioneer in Industry 4.0 products. Bhavin comes with a 30 years of illustrious career, and Bhavin has led key management positions at global companies like Cisco, Oracle, and BEA. Along with this, he also co-founded multiple high-tech ventures in the US and India. Currently, Bhavin is also an independent director at smart city projects of Bhubaneswar and Rourkela. At EcoAxis, Bhavin is leading business and technology transformation mainly for manufacturing and sustainability verticals. And there he leverages Industry 4.0 and industrial IoT technologies. So let's hear from Bhavin his thoughts about advances in industrial IoT, the challenges posed in implementation, and some interesting success stories.
Good, Kuldeep. Thanks for having me.
So Bhavin, I'm here today to discuss with you the topic of industrial Internet of Things. Mainly, I'm interested in knowing your thoughts about the advances in industrial IoT, challenges it poses, and also how it helps in the industrial manufacturing. But before we get into that, how do you explain industrial IoT to a non-technical person, somebody from the manufacturing world? And how has industrial IoT evolved over a period of time?
Okay. So if you think about the internet, Kuldeep, over the last 30 years, it has had an unbelievable impact on all of our lives when it comes to content, communication, and commerce, especially. So Internet of Things is an extension of that. Mostly over the last 30 years, it's been people who've been connected with each other via the medium of internet. And the idea now is to be able to connect things to the same platform to improve multifold the benefit that all of us have realized over the last 30 years. So Internet of Things is nothing but an extension of the internet as we know today, but with the intent of getting more and more things connected, whether it be cameras, whether it be cars, whether it be machines in an industrial setting. So the idea is if you can connect all of these things, there's a lot of unlocked value inside these things that can be taken advantage of. So Internet of Things is essentially about that. And industrial Internet of Things is a part of that focus specifically on industrial equipment.
Okay, great. Now, Bhavin, you talked about connecting things or machines. Terms like machine-to-machine connectivity or M2M have been around for quite some time. Also, we hear a lot about Industry 4.0. So how do you explain the difference between Industry 4.0 and M2M communication? How does industrial IoT differ between these two?
So great question. I think today all of us are quite overwhelmed with all these acronyms that are being thrown at us at a very, very dizzying pace. So at a macro level, Industry 4.0 is about highlighting the fact that there is a set of technologies that are available today that were not available, let's say, even 30 years ago, which have the potential of transforming the industrial sector completely. And Industry 4.0 is about emphasizing the need for industries to look at these technologies and benefit from that. Now, within Industry 4.0 umbrella, there's a multitude of technologies. Some of them are incremental improvements from the past. Some of them are completely new. But that, in my opinion, is not very relevant. Whether you call something M2M or Internet of Things, it's not really the important point of discussion. The important thing here is that not only technology or technologies are available to help transform your business, but that it is available at a price that is affordable and accessible to almost everybody. In the past, some of these technologies were available, but they were affordable and accessible to only a small set of people. Today, the transformation is really about a lot of these technologies being available at a cost that is affordable by anybody and everybody. So really what Industry 4.0 is about is not only availability of digital technologies, but the ability to access it and take advantage of it. So focus should be more on that rather than all these acronyms.
Great. So over your couple of decades of experience in this field, I'm sure you have seen a lot of success stories and a few organizations failing in this journey of industrial IoT. So in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge in the journey of Industry 4.0 or industrial IoT?
So I feel based on my experience, the biggest challenge is change management. These technologies have the ability to significantly transform a business, but adoption of the technology in itself is not enough. It's a people and process issue as well. You need to kind of figure out how you change processes and how you enable and empower people in your organization to be able to take advantage of these technologies. So the fundamental challenge here is that it's about change management, and change management in a business is not something that happens overnight. It takes a lot of sustained effort and strategic impetus to be able to bring about that change. So if there's one challenge that a lot of companies struggle with when they roll out Industry 4.0 initiatives, is that they don't account for the need for change management. They tend to believe that it's only about technology adoption, which is obviously a big part of it, but it's not the complete picture.
Sure, great. So in the post-COVID era, let's say a small or medium manufacturer wants to start his or her journey in industrial IoT. How should they approach it? What are the things that they should take into consideration?
So, I don't think the approach would be any different from any other strategic initiative a business would take on. First and foremost, while these technologies are available and affordable to everybody, not everybody has a need for all the technologies at the same point in time. So different organizations have different priorities, different circumstances in which they are operating. So most important is to identify strategically which of these technologies have the ability to address a significant business need, right? And each organization has to make that decision on their own. Once they've identified that, it's about creating a roadmap to adopt and implement these technologies. So again, it's not something that is different from what businesses have been doing for quite some time. The change, obviously, or the difference is that there's a lot more technology intervention required right now than it might have been required for previous transformations that organizations went through. So that makes it a little bit more sometimes overwhelming and complex. But first, it has to start with identifying the business need, creating a roadmap, and then deciding which of these technologies really fit the needs. And finally, if you don't have the skills in-house, finding the right partner who can be part of this journey with you.
Okay. And then comes the step of, measuring the success of whether what you have done is adding value to the business or not. So how do you really measure the success of industrial IoT initiatives?
So again, it's not any different from any other initiative. If you started with a clear understanding of the business problem you are trying to solve, at the end of adoption of this technology, you should be able to decipher or determine how much of an impact this has had. Having said that, the recommendation that I would have, based on experience that we've had with many customers, is to start small. Create a small success somewhere within your organization, and test and validate whether you are getting the feedback and the value that you perceived you will get by implementing Industry 4.0 initiatives. And then once you validate that, then you can phase-wise roll it out across your organization, and at various stages measure that you are on track in terms of realizing the benefits that you are looking at.
Mm-hmm. Great. Now switching gears a little bit, Bhavin, I am a data guy. Ellicium is a data analytics company, so I cannot just stop this question from coming up. Data is the new oil. We keep on hearing this. Data is new soil is the new thing now. Your thoughts in the context of IoT, the value of data, potential of data?
So potential is unlimited. It really is. But at a simplistic level, if you think about it, information has always been power. Since, ever since, I guess, we can remember, whoever has access to information has power. What is different now than, let's say, 20, 30, 40 years ago is that the access to data is affordable and available to almost everybody. So now it's about figuring out what you can do with that data, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can build an organization that is driven around this data and has the ability to interpret and derive information out of this data, then you are going to have a significant competitive advantage. And that's really what people are trying to emphasize with this catchy slogans about data being the new oil or data being the new soil. It's really emphasizing the fact that information is power. There is an access to a lot of data that people have today. If they can leverage that and create an organization that is built around interpreting and analyzing data, that can be a significant competitive advantage.
Absolutely. And if I'm not wrong, the early stage IoT or industrial IoT initiatives were more sensor focused and more engineering initiatives. It is becoming more a data initiative, and the importance of analytics and artificial intelligence is going up in industrial IoT day by day.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Now, what are top 3 myths that you would like to talk about? Commonly observed myths that you often hear from your customers or the implementation teams.
So, I mean, there are a lot of different myths out there about Industry 4.0 and technologies related to Industry 4.0. The first myth, or the most important myth, is assuming that Industry 4.0 is about technology adoption or technology transformation. It really isn't. It's about change management within your organization through the adoption of technology, right? So the technology in itself is kind of incidental or it's an enabler, but it's not the end goal. So a lot of times what happens is we've seen with organizations, they are fixated on technology. Technology, as powerful as it is and as valuable as it is, it's not about technology. It's about having a clear strategic goal in mind that you want to achieve using these technologies. So that's really where it has to start. And technology is secondary or incidental. the related myth to this is that you can go it alone. Industry 4.0 is a convergence of a large number of technologies, from robotics to AR, VR to IoT to AI. So it's a convergence of a lot of different technologies. And what you need to kind of think about is building appropriate partnerships, because this is a journey. You are not going to realize the benefits of this in a single step. So it's not about the vendor-customer relationship. It's about a partnership that you build with your vendors to be able to incentivize the vendor to help you realize your strategic goals. So if there was one myth that I would like to dispel, is that it's all about technology. It really isn't. It's about identifying what are your business imperatives and business drivers around which technology and technology providers can be enablers and partners.
Great. So Bhavin, I've known about a lot of success stories from EcoAxis and from you about successful implementations of industrial IoT. Would you like to share any such success story for our listeners? Something that will really motivate somebody for implementing a new implementation of industrial IoT.
Yeah, so happy to share, and not because EcoAccess has been part of that success, but because there is still a huge amount of skepticism around the value that can be created by some of these technologies, and hopefully sharing some of these stories can motivate and give confidence to your listeners about their own initiatives or their own objectives. So one particular example that I'd like to share with you is about a company that transformed its services offering through the adoption of Industry 4.0 technology. So the business problem that they had was very simple, and it's probably a problem that most service organizations face. The need to increase customer satisfaction while improving your margins. And this sometimes tend to be contradictory objectives, and people find it very difficult to resolve. So this company had a similar issue. The specific problem that they had was they have customers that are in a lot of remote locations, and many a times when they request a service call, it requires an investment of time and money to reach the customer. But when you reach the customer, it turns out that the issue might not really be related to the product. It might be related to use of product or some other issues. This posed a couple of problems for this company. A, there is a loss of manpower and money. B, there is customer dissatisfaction somewhere else, because you might not be able to efficiently deploy that resource where the customer actually has a need. So over the last 3 years, they've been working with us very closely to transform their entire service offering. And today, what they do is instead of offering regular AMC, they offer Industry 4.0 service to their customer, which they subscribe to on an annual basis. And for the service, they get the comfort and confidence that their problem would be solved. In fact, this customer has gone ahead and said that if I don't resolve your problem within a certain time period, I will actually pay you for not being able to meet my SLAs. And they are very confident about this guarantee, because they've wired all of their equipment to send data through the internet to a central location, where they are able to monitor health of all of their equipment proactively. If a customer has a problem, they are remotely able to help the customer. They're able to diagnose the problem and be able to quickly resolve the issue. And they need to deploy service engineers if and only if there is a real serious issue that they cannot resolve remotely. So this over a period of time is now helping them address their strategic objective of increasing customer experience while reducing the service costs, thereby increasing their margins. It's taken time. It's not been easy. It requires strategic involvement and strategic support, which this organization had. And now they are able to reap the benefits of that. So this is just one example of how organizations are able to transform themselves through the adoption of technology. Another example that I find quite endearing is about change dynamics on the shop floor through the adoption of this technology. So I don't know if you've ever been at a manufacturing plant or at a shop floor, but typically what you find is due to lack of visibility to data in real time or accuracy of data, a lot of times the discussions and decisions are opinion-based. They don't tend to be fact-based. And whenever you have opinion-based discussion, there's always a little bit of discontent within the team because nobody really is convinced about the decisions that are being made. What we've seen at some of the shop floors is that with the adoption of this technology, the confidence amongst supervisors and operators, management and supervisors has gone up dramatically because all decisions, all discussions are based on data that is near real time, that is accurate, and that is highly available. So that makes a tremendous difference in the dialogue between various stakeholders in a manufacturing plant, which has a tremendous impact on the morale of the team. Customers is now trying out incentive-based remuneration. So in addition to the fixed remuneration that they give to their operators, they are now using the power of data to incentivize good operators based on production and quality. So that's another very endearing human story about how technology is helping change the psyche and the culture on the shop floor.
Great. So I hear you talk a lot about industrial IoT impacting the lives of people who work in these companies. Any thoughts on how wide this impact of industrial IoT on the day-to-day life of employees who work in these companies? That's a very interesting aspect of industrial IoT that you're talking about.
Absolutely. So one aspect is what I just talked about, like improvement of morale within the organization. The other is there is quicker and more objective reward and recognition for employees because you no longer need to be the favorite of a particular influencer or a particular person. Your work speaks for yourself. So that has positive impact. The other thing is, it adds a sense of fulfillment and a sense of achievement to the job that people are doing. Again, if you look at a typical shop floor, a lot of times what happens is people are focused on the immediate problem. They want to make sure that if something is not working, they fix that immediately, and they are always on like a treadmill, going from one problem to the other. Now, with the availability of data, they are able to change their mindset from immediate to important. Sometimes important problems are not immediate problems, but if you solve those important problems, you have a solution for the longer term, and you won't do the firefighting that you are doing on a daily basis. So that enriches people's jobs, gives them a better sense of fulfillment because there is a sense of deeper achievement. So that's the other positive that we've seen in terms of the mindset of people. And data is addictive. Once you have data and you start playing around with it, you discover more and more insights that makes you really excited and enthusiastic about more with what you have available to you. So these are the ways I've seen, changes on the shop floor that have enabled employees.
Great. So Bhavin, we are right now living in a very difficult and different times. COVID has brought about a lot of challenges to the manufacturing industry and all the other industries in general. Do you think Industry 4.0, Industrial IoT could have made a difference? The widespread adoption of this could have made a difference in a COVID-like situation? Will it make a difference in a future pandemic, if at all it happens again?
Zero doubt in my mind that it would. Adoption of these technologies will tremendously enhance the resilience of organizations to deal with a pandemic kind of situation. If you look at this whole e-commerce side of things, that was, if you think about it, a saving grace during this period. Our ability to still have access to goods and certain services uninterrupted was enabled by the adoption of digital technologies on the retail side of things. Likewise, on the industrial side, adoption of these technologies will no doubt have a huge impact from manpower, logistics, and from a control standpoint, which currently was not possible. So it's something that I think all organizations have to start thinking about to build that redundancy and resilience with technology that is now available very easily and reasonably affordable as well.
Okay, great. That's a great thing to hear. So Bhavin, this has been a great discussion, especially your thoughts about how industrial IoT will help in a future pandemic if it happens, about how it will positively impact employee morale. These are really great insights for somebody who wants to start their journey of implementing industrial IoT. This has been a great discussion, Bhavin. Thanks for your time. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Kuldeep, for having me. Appreciate it.